What's up, folks? This is Joshua Smith. I've got Andrew Heisley here with me from the Heisley team. Andrew, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, Andrew Heisley here, Barrett Financial. Been doing this a very long time. Been rocking with this gentleman here. He knows what he's doing on the ground. I'm the geek behind the screen. Got some data for you on the rates and those type of things. So you'll find that may be interesting. You may want to tune out. You may want to listen more to him. I'm not sure. But anything mortgage related, I got your back, okay?
That's it. Well, I'm going to be looking at numbers too, so hopefully we don't drown anybody out. I think it'll be easy though. We'll make it short and compact, right? That's my promise. If you haven't been to the channel before, we do stuff like this every once in a while. It's my first time having Andrew on, so thank you so much for joining us. Like, subscribe so you can be notified when we do things like this in the future. We may start doing some like actual YouTube live things. I don't know. I'm trying to figure some of that out. But right now, let's dive into something of a market report for where we are now. Look at some inventory and other things. All right, let me switch over to this screen and just kind of get started. All right, so into these market stats on my screen first here, Andrew. So you can see what I'm looking at, right?
I can, yep.
So this is new listings that we're looking at right now. It's basically all price ranges, property types, bedrooms, bathrooms. And this is pulling from the last 3 years. So let's consolidate this down just a little bit. There's a rolling 3 months. The month to month is a little bit better. So this is new listing inventory. So like December, I mean, this was June of last year. So we're in April. Obviously this data is a month behind. It's in April. We're in May right now. But you know, these spikes look pretty sharp, but really these numbers are not that different. I've got 5,500 to 69 back down to 63 for April for new listings. It's still an increase. And actually, if you look back at these numbers, and Andrew, maybe you can speak to this too, but this is kind of what you see this time of year is listings definitely will start to come on the market. The market's going to start to warm up. I always like to say that the market heats up as we see summer months. As the weather gets hotter, right? It changes with the temperature. So, but yeah, so you know, you saw a couple of spikes or just sharp changes around this time last year as well. I think that in May we are going to see, because I've seen personally a lot more listings for my buyers. I've seen a lot more buyers come on. That's sort of a little bit of inventory, so that's definitely creeping up. I think that's a good thing. What we saw in the prices, just in general, it was a huge decline in, it wasn't a decline necessarily in how much prices are selling for, it's a decline in the prices people are willing to pay, so it's the type of houses people are paying for, if that makes sense. That's how I interpret it.
Would you interpret it as it's a buyer benefit right now? More than
yeah. I think it's, I don't know if I would call it a buyer's market. I would definitely call it, because it's still, I'm not seeing as much buyer competition, which helps buyers a lot, right?
I think on my side, from the mortgage angle, it feels very balanced.
Yeah.
Which is actually one of the best places to be.
Sure.
It swings one way or the other. It's been a heavily seller's market, right? But
it has been.
With the listings coming on board, we're seeing a lot of people talking about it. And the first spot you want to kind of look at, ladies and gentlemen, is seeing what you could possibly qualify for before you put it on the market. If you want to kind of move up, be that move up buyer. And we're seeing a lot of those conversations really warming up right now. We'll increase that amount that you're showing on this chart. So.
Yeah. For sure, yeah, and I want to talk about rates for sure. If you can pull some of that info, and while you do that, I might actually let's just look at price ranges while we're talking about prices. I think the pretty average range is going to be this 3 to 430 for Nashville. There was a steep average sales price drop, but we're back. This leveling out, actually I say steep, from 355 to 350. It's
it looks worse than it actually
is. It looks worse than it is. Yeah, if you look at the actual numbers, we're floating between 360 and 350. So this is actually what I wanted to say, and I think you might agree with me, Andrew, is that what I'm seeing in prices over these past few months is that I'm not really seeing a price reduction. People are afraid they're losing value in their houses a lot when they call me about whether it's a good time to list their property in particular. But it's pretty flatlined on this end in
Well, a
terms of
lot of
sales
buyers are
prices.
sitting on the sidelines thinking, I'm going to wait for the prices to lower before I start.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm here to tell you, I don't think they're going to.
Mhm.
We're seeing it all level out and kind of flatline.
Mhm.
And generally, we're projected to still gain value year over year, even within rates being high, those type of things. And I'll show you that here in just a second. But that's my expert opinion. I don't know that sitting on the sidelines is going to benefit you greatly. In fact, I wish I wouldn't sit on the sidelines because we've had some massive increases.
Mhm.
Because once you own it, obviously you gain the equity, right? So,
Right.
Let me go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to bring up this other 431 plus price range to show same kind of thing. I feel like we're really floating in this 6 to 620 range still these last few months. And look, there's a big jump from December to January, which is when the interest rates really started to kick up. So let me use that as a hat tip over to you to look at these interest rates if you want to go ahead and pull that up.
All right, so this looks very nerdy. I told you I'm not the cool kid here. He definitely is, so I'll go first. But if you want the data, I'm a data nerd, and that helps you in the mortgage world, right? So these are, we call candlesticks.
Mm-hmm.
You can, if you look at like stocks and things, but the mortgage-backed security market is different than the stock market. It kind of runs side by side, but what you see good in the stock market can be bad for mortgage and vice versa, okay? The big thing, the underlying thing is you can see back down here in March, I mean, it's essentially, yes, it went up and down, but it's essentially flat and the same. Kind of like you're seeing the prices. Yes, they're jumping, and these is, oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
And these are real money tied up here, right? So
yeah.
17 bips is, on $1,000 is, $100 or $170, right? So that is real money, but it's kind of flat here, okay? So I don't think, everybody's talking about, oh, rates are going up and the Fed has done this and the Fed has done that. Yes, but there's other counter levers that keep the rates kind of flatline, right? Just because the media is wanting to tell you one thing doesn't necessarily be the case. Yes, in general, rates are higher. If we go back on let's say a 2-year run, as you can tell, these are 2% rates. Oh my gosh, right? But most of you, not all of you, but most of you couldn't really afford to buy if you're first-time home buyers, that type of stuff, until about right here, because there was so much pent-up demand that everybody's doing 30, 40, 50,
right.
100,000 over asking.
Right. Yeah.
So I love that it got here
Mm-hmm.
and it leveled out the market. We talked about being an even market, seller versus buyer. This is why that happened. This right here was heavily seller. Now, if you're a seller, you may be like, well, maybe I should hold on and not sell. Well, maybe not. It's just depending. Like, there's a lot of force and values, kind of go there. So it's all on how you look at it. I think it was a great thing, but remember, you buy the home once. Everybody says buy the home, date the rate. I mean, you're going to refinance. I think, this is my prediction, rates will lower around election cycle. We'll have a lot of refinance. A lot of people are buying right here. Going to get back in that probably 4 range. You're going to refinance, and whenever you buy a home and your payment gets cheaper, I think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
The forecast. Okay.
I like
me on it.
I like hearing 4s. I was thinking like 5s maybe, but I agree for sure around the election cycle, because all of this stuff we're in America. It's politics.
Locking rates in the 5s, so you're aware out there.
Oh, great.
Doing the government backed stuff. The convention.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I had one locked yesterday at a 5.75.
That's awesome.
Now, I shop 150 lenders out there plus my own money, so we're a little bit different than your average person. But then this is a long time, as long as Mr. Smith here. But that's already there. That's why I think they're going to creep into the high 4s. And you put a 4 in it, people are going to be a frenzy, right?
Right.
But if you already own it, you skip the frenzy, you get a better buy, then you could refinance and go that way.
Yeah, and I think the key takeaway from this is sort of, it feels like a little bit of a normalization is happening at the moment, which is great. I'm definitely seeing more buyer activity. It sounds like you're seeing, buyer applications. I think it's good for both buyers and sellers right now for this kind of market. It feels actually, based on the last 2 years, I would say the one word that comes to mind as a juxtaposition is it feels a lot healthier in terms of a market, in terms of like...
I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, the investors are making money at the interest rates that it's at,
Yeah.
right? They haven't been. It's been artificially low for a very long time. They're depending upon money making money, which helps the economy, and they're trying to slow inflation, all that type of stuff. We won't get into that, but
Sure.
4s and 6 rates. I mean, the average on for the past 30 years is still somewhere in the 5% range. I mean, there are a lot of buyers out there only know 2 and 3% rates, but that's not what it has been.
Yeah.
Right? But you got to look at. I talk to people a lot of the time. I mean, your credit cards are 20, 30%, sometimes 15, right? So when you are looking at interest rates and money, even at a 6% rate, that is very, very cheap money when you look at it as a whole. I understand it impacts your payment.
Yeah.
That's why I focus on monthly payment, not purchase price as much when you're entering the market is one of the big things I always focus on. So.
And there are a lot of ways that you can impact those payments. You can impact that rate. You can, people aren't aware they can buy points down and other things. And this is the kind of market where negotiations are possible. You can have sellers pay for some of that.
Yeah, I had a gentleman last month, his first year of the mortgage was a 2.75. The second year went to 3.75, third year 4.75, and eventually got back up to 5.75. But what's going to happen is through these mortgage tools that we have, paired with the right seller and house, he's going to refinance before he ever gets into the 4.75.
Right.
Because it's a stair step. We call that a 2-1 or a 3-2-1 buy down. So he's sitting pretty as if he bought way back when, but now it's more of a little bit of a balanced buyer's market. Therefore, he was able to make that work. So there's a lot of possibilities. Yeah,
I agree. Well, that's a little blip of a local boots on the ground level market report, which I think is the key. If you're interested in market activity and where to invest, how to invest, and when to invest, it really does boil down to who's got their feet on the ground in the area that you want to buy. And so this is, I think, we focused a little bit on Davidson County here. Well, this is actually the entire MLS, so we're talking about the whole state. We didn't really hyper-focus on much of anything in this, but it's
middle slice of Tennessee.
Yeah, that like mid-region where you and I both work quite a bit. Anyway, well, Andrew, thanks for coming on board. I want to definitely have you back if you'll do it for me.
We'll have to schedule it out.
Yeah. See if we can have that. I'll have my people call your people. We'll see what we can put together. Something before Christmas. Anyway, thanks again, you guys. Thanks for watching. I'll throw some social media handles in for Andrew and his contact information so you can keep in touch with him as well. And see you in the next video. Thanks, man.
Yeah, sure.